started like any ordinary evening. The kind of night where routine disguises itself as safety, where a family heads out for a few hours, trusting the world to keep turning just as it always has. But sometimes, the world shifts. In the fall of 2009, the Daniels family hired a bright-eyed 19-year-old babysitter named Elise Harper to watch their two young children while they attended a local charity gala. Elise had been recommended by a neighbor, well-mannered, trustworthy. She'd babysat for the family twice before. There were no red flags, no reason to worry. At precisely 6:45 p.m., Elise closed the front door, waved goodbye, and began what should have been a quiet night of popcorn, bedtime stories, and cartoons. But when the Daniels returned shortly after 9 p.m., she was gone. No signs of struggle, no broken windows, no frantic 911 call from the kids. Just the soft hum of a television, a half-empty cup of tea left on the kitchen counter, and an open back door swaying gently in the wind. Elise Harper vanished without a sound, without a trace, as if the night itself had swallowed her. For 13 years, her name lingered in the silence, etched onto missing persons reports, whispered in town rumors, circled on cold case boards, and replayed over and over in the memories of those who knew her. Time moved on, but answers never came, until one afternoon, in the middle of a thunderstorm, a letter arrived. You're watching Crime Vault, where true crime stories of mystery, deception, and untold consequences come to light. To our loyal viewers and subscribers, thank you. Your support helps us bring these deep, immersive stories to life day after day. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, please consider joining us. Your click means more than you know, and we're just getting started. 5:30 p.m., the Daniels home buzzes with the normal chaos of a young family getting ready. Laughter, a quick dinner, kisses on foreheads, then the door closes behind them. The rain has already started to fall. 6:45 p.m. Elise Harper texts her mother, "See you soon. Kids are angels." That would be the last known message she'd ever send. Inside the house, the children are playing quietly in the den. Elise, always organized, has laid out pajamas and bedtime snacks. Everything appears routine, uneventful, safe. 8:10 p.m. A neighbor across the street hears something strange, a child crying, not for attention, but in distress. They look outside. Nothing seems off. The sound fades. They decide not to call anyone. 9:22 p.m. The Daniels return. The garage door opens. They notice the porch light is off. Odd. Sarah Daniels unlocks the front door. The TV is still on. The tea on the kitchen counter has gone cold. Her children are asleep upstairs. But Elise is gone. No forced entry. Her purse still on the floor. Phone untouched. A throw blanket tossed on the couch, as if she had been sitting moments earlier. The police are called, and the questions begin. But the answers don't. Elise's mother, Joanne Harper, would later sit in front of reporters, clutching her daughter's scarf with trembling fingers. "She sent me that message. I remember it word for word. See you soon. Kids are angels. And I believed I would." Have you ever felt someone disappear emotionally, long before they ever left physically? The initial investigation began with urgency. Detectives canvassed the neighborhood. Interviews were conducted with friends, classmates, co-workers. A search party formed by the end of the week. First to be questioned, Elise's ex-boyfriend, Daniel Raines. A troubled history, a few arguments documented in text messages. He passed a polygraph, but suspicion lingered. A friend came forward days later with something disturbing. Elise had confided in her just the weekend before, said she felt like she was being watched, that she might have known something she wasn't supposed to know, and then they found her journal, a leather-bound diary hidden beneath her dresser, discovered during a second sweep of her dorm room. Inside, a page dated 3 weeks before she vanished. "I know too much. If something happens, I didn't run away." The entry would rattle investigators, but without context, it was little more than a haunting riddle. Public attention swelled. Candlelight vigils were held on the town square. National news ran the story. Flyers were stapled to every post and window. Facebook groups exploded with theories, some logical, some absurd. But over time, interest faded. After 8 months, the leads dried up. No witnesses, no suspects, no trace. Elise became another face printed on milk cartons, a file buried under newer, louder cases. In the months that followed Elise Harper's disappearance, the Daniels family learned the true cost of an unanswered question. Sarah and Michael, once the neighborhood's picture of stability, stopped attending church. Birthdays went uncelebrated. Conversations turned into arguments or silence. The youngest daughter, Ellie, began sleepwalking. She would stand at the foot of her parents' bed, whispering the same words night after night. "Elise is under the floor." No one knew what it meant until she drew it. A crayon sketch, crude and childlike, but unmistakable. A stick figure girl lying beneath a floorboard. X's for eyes. The caption scrawled in red, "Elise." At first it was brushed off as a child's confusion, trauma echoing through imagination. But then the postcards began. One arrived in spring, then another in summer, pale white stock, no return address. Inside, a single sentence each time, nothing alarming, but off. "The children are still beautiful." "Do they ever talk about me?" One simply signed, E. Police couldn't trace the origin. Postmarked from multiple states, no fingerprints, no fibers, just unnerving quiet. In desperation, Sarah Daniels turned to something she once scoffed at, an intuitive, a woman known in back channels for locating the lost. The session was brief, the message strange. "I see a cabin, but not in the woods. It's near something blue. She's not gone, but she's gone." That night, Sarah wept for the first time in years, not because of what she heard, but because for the first time in over a decade, she felt something she thought she'd buried. Hope. 13 years had passed. The world had moved on. The Daniels family no longer gave interviews. Elise's photo had faded from public memory. But on a humid afternoon in June, as clouds rolled heavy above the Daniels home, something arrived. A pale blue envelope. No stamp, no return address, just one word written on the front in slanted, looping script. Sarah. Inside, 3 pages, handwritten. Ink faded slightly at the edges. The handwriting matched letters Elise had written as a teenager. Same loops, same capital E. It began with an apology. "I'm sorry. I've carried this for over a decade, and it's time you knew the truth." What followed was not an explanation, but a confession. "I left because I had to. I couldn't let them hurt the kids. I thought I was doing the right thing. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I broke something that can't be fixed." No mention of who they were, no names, just a single clue. "The place where I stayed isn't far. It's quiet. You can hear the river. I was always afraid you'd find me, and always praying you would." The final words chilled Sarah to her bones. "I miss them. Tell them I love them. I never stopped watching." Police seized the letter. Forensic linguists ran it against archived writing samples. Conclusion: 98% certainty. It was Elise Harper. The letter referenced a town just 200 miles north, a small community, barely on the map, known for its river that bends like a crescent moon through a clearing, a place called Lark Hollow. And for the first time in 13 years, investigators had a destination. With the letter as their only guide, detectives reopened the case. Lark Hollow, a ghost town nestled between forests and a winding river, offered little promise at first glance. But just beyond the outskirts, they found it. An abandoned farmhouse, dilapidated, forgotten, but inside, signs of life. A single plate in the sink, recently washed. A well-used hairbrush. Half a bottle of multivitamins. And something else. Birth control pills. Dated just 2 months prior. Then came the twist investigators never anticipated. DNA swabs confirmed 2 separate profiles. One female, believed to be Elise. The other, male, unknown. But that wasn't the shock. It was what they found in a locked drawer upstairs. A sealed envelope containing hospital discharge forms. A birth certificate with a forged name. A photograph of a newborn baby. The baby was born in 2010, less than a year after Elise vanished. Elise Harper hadn't just disappeared. She'd had a child, and records showed that child had been placed for private adoption under an alias, through a now-defunct agency with known ties to fringe spiritual groups. Every thread investigators pulled led to more questions, not fewer. Who was the father? Why the fake identity? And why had Elise chosen silence all these years? The Daniel family watched in stunned disbelief. The girl they'd trusted to protect their children had become a ghost, a mother, a fugitive. What would you do if the person you trusted most disappeared with your child and never came back? 2 weeks later, a second letter arrived. This one delivered directly to law enforcement. Inside, coordinates to a roadside motel an hour outside Lark Hollow. A note hastily scribbled, "I'll talk, but only if he's gone." That night, officers staged a surveillance setup. Cameras were hidden, microphones placed. They waited. And then she appeared. Elise Harper, alive, gaunt, older, but unmistakably her. She approached room 6, where a man was waiting, identified later as Caleb Rains, a former member of a disbanded fringe group known as The Fold. Over the next 47 minutes, Elise told a story no one was prepared to hear. She claimed she'd been taken by The Fold the night she vanished, coerced through fear and psychological manipulation, forced into silence under the belief that she was protecting not just herself, but the Daniels' children. "They believed in rebirth through erasure," she said. "That trauma resets the soul. I stayed quiet because I thought, if I left, they'd find the baby." Elise claimed she escaped in 2014 and had been living under various aliases since, hiding not from justice, but from them. Then, the moment that shattered the case wide open. Less than 24 hours later, Caleb Rains was found dead. A single gunshot, no signs of forced entry. The weapon, a revolver, was wiped clean, but a partial print matched Elise. She turned herself in within hours. Elise claimed it was self-defense, that he'd found her first, that he'd said he was coming for the child. There were no witnesses, no camera inside the room, and no one left to refute her story. After a tense legal battle, Elise Harper was released, pending investigation. She disappeared once more, her location now unknown. Elise Harper vanished without a trace, but maybe she was never truly gone. Maybe she became a ghost, not out of death, but out of fear, sacrifice, and choices no one else had the strength to make. She lived between silence and survival, between truth and protection, and in the spaces where most people break, she disappeared. We may never know the full truth, the missing hours, the faces in the shadows, the child with a name that wasn't hers. But one thing is certain. Some disappearances don't end with silence. They end with whispers, returned in envelopes. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it end here. Subscribe, like, and share it with someone who loves true crime stories with impossible twists. Help us shine a light on the coldest corners, because sometimes that's the only way the forgotten find their voice again.